Hey, folks, I'm the man with the pinky ring and the New York thing. Forget about it. Bad Brad Berkwood, and you're watching the Bad Brad Berkwood Show on the Ringside Report web TV channel. Make sure you hit that button and subscribe. Leave your comments below this episode. Let's have a conversation. Well, today, folks, I'm going back to my youth when I was 14 years old. That's pretty good because I'm only 20 now. Forget about it. And if you believe that, I got some swampland in Jersey I can sell you cheap. 1982. Smash hit. Used to go to a club called a teenage club called Spanky's in Waterford, Michigan, when I lived with my Italian Nona in Pontiac, Michigan. And they would play MTV videos. We would get up and dance, and we had Slurpees, so you know it was a teenage nightclub. My favorite flavor, blue raspberry. This song, this group was huge. Did I say huge? I mean huge. Smash, smash, smash hit. The group is Musical Youth. The song is Pass the Dutchie. And my guest today is the lead singer, the one, the only, all the way over from England, Dennis Seaton. All right, Dennis. The running joke on this show is because you are 6 hours ahead of me over in England, I need you to provide me with the lottery numbers since I'm 6 hours behind, and I will split it 50-50 with you.
Which lottery numbers? The UK lottery numbers or US Indiana lottery numbers?
Indiana, look it up and tell me what they are. I go pick them at the gas station.
You should have sent me that before. I would have looked it up.
I know. I tell you what, I had Johnny Holiday on. You might have done one of the tours with him from the Escape Club.
Oh, yeah.
And he said 75%. I was just the guitarist in the band. You wanted 75% of my 50-50 wasn't good enough.
I'm good at 50. 50% of something is better than 50% of nothing.
There you go. You're a smart man. Okay, before we get into the Q&A, I always like to ask my guests, because we're dealing with a pandemic around the world, and just see how people are coping and dealing with. How are you dealing with COVID?
Well, to be fair, when we got locked down before you guys, and for me, it wasn't a problem because we spent, when we were touring, we used to spend hours and hours and hours on end in one room, let alone 2 and 3 and 4, and we didn't have mobile phones where we could play games.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have things like this. We didn't have Netflix. We didn't have. Let's be fair. We didn't have Prime. We didn't have Sky TV. We didn't have none of that. All we had was a VHS video, if you were lucky, and or the Atari that went blip.
Yep.
Blip. That's if we were lucky. So for me, it was just, I love being at home anyway, so it don't matter to me.
Okay.
But I lost family members.
I'm sorry to hear. My condolences.
Yeah, well, some of them were cancer, so it was.
Okay.
But
still my condolences.
Thank you. But I've been watching you guys every night with my CNN, so it's just. I'm so sorry for you.
I can't edit this. Everybody's watching us. We got a fool. We got a fool over here, Dennis.
Well, let's put it this way, Brad. I haven't had to watch any comedy shows for a long time.
Well, you see it every day.
No disrespect. No disrespect.
Yeah, but but let's be fair. You're from England. You had geniuses like Benny Hill, people that were funny. Our guy over here, heavyset guy, that's orange. He ain't funny. He ain't funny, Dennis. Benny Hill was funny. Monty Python is funny.
Yeah, I got you.
Those initials DJT. He's not funny. So, but I hear you. Exactly. Okay. Well, let's do this. I always like to go back and then work forward from there.
No problem.
Okay. First off, you were born in England?
I was born here, where I'm living in Birmingham. Yes, born in England.
So you didn't stray from where you were born?
No, I've spent some time in the US when I was younger. sometime in Ireland when I was younger. But no, this has always been home for me.
Okay.
Birmingham, England has always been home for me.
Okay. We're around the same age, so out of
Yeah.
curiosity, growing up, what was it like in the area in Birmingham?
Well, we're a very multicultural city. So, you know, my school was about 900 pupils, and that's where we all met at school. So, no, growing up was fine. I mean, there was a lot of racism back in the 70s and 80s. So, and we still suffer it now.
Yes, we are.
It's not the same as in the US. In the US, it's a different kind of. It's more in your face in the US. In the UK, it's more overt.
Okay.
So we have to just battle through. And there's probably about 1.2 million black people in this country, but they all come from the West Indies. So my mother was born in a little island called Nevis, where one of your, I think it's the play Hamilton, one of your former presidents was born there in Nevis. There's only 11,000 people.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So they migrated. So I'm first generation West Indian.
Okay. You just out of curiosity, you guys call it I think football over there, soccer.
Yeah.
I would assume
Yeah.
you're a soccer guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you play or you just watched?
Yeah, I did play. I played. I wanted to be a footballer. Well,
Yeah.
a soccer player for you.
Okay.
And wasn't. In fact, I had to give up playing the football to go and play music.
Okay. Okay.
That's what I had to do. I had a choice, you see. Couldn't have two loves.
Couldn't have two loves. Okay. Growing up in your household, were your parents, or was it a musical household?
My parents didn't play instruments. My dad dabbled with the steel pan, but I never really heard him play. My mum wasn't musical at all. My mum just made sure that we were all doing what we needed to do in terms of education and schooling and getting up to go to school and being good children, so to speak.
Okay.
Which sometimes I wasn't.
Yeah, we are. All of us could say that.
Yeah.
I heard quite a few. Okay. I did a lot of research on you, and there's a lot of stories on how the band formed. And best way to say it is to let you tell the story. So how do you guys, because I know that you replaced somebody, and then it was a couple guys' fathers, then it was another.
That's right.
Easier for you to tell me and the viewers, how did the band form?
So the band started back in 1979. So originally, Junior and Patrick, they're brothers. They played bass and drum. Junior plays drums, Patrick plays bass. Then it was Calvin, played guitar, the youngest member. And Michael, his brother, played keyboards. So Junior and Patrick's dad, Fred Waite Sr., he was teaching Calvin and Michael keyboards and guitar. And then he was teaching his own boys bass and drum. And Junior and myself, we were pretty close. We were tight. And he said, look, you know, my dad's putting a band together. Maybe you could come and sing, because he knew I liked to sing. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. So I went to the very first rehearsals, the very first band's rehearsal, and got banned.
Okay.
Told not to come back. And from that point on, Fred, he said he wasn't going to have a lead singer, but he ended up singing lead. And that's who I replaced in 1981. After the band had started doing some shows, and then got played on John Peel. And John Peel then requested for the band to do a session that got played on Radio 1, which Radio 1 was the biggest radio station. It's the biggest radio station in the country because it's the BBC. And at that time, there was only really, the main show was John Peel. So if you've done any research, John Peel's name would come up. Any British band in the 70s and 80s, they would tell you John Peel was the one who got the name.
Yep, oh yeah, I see that name a lot.
And the A&R guys from Artists and Repertoire used to listen to the show, because he used to choose the music he played. It's not like DJs now that have to play to a formula.
Yes.
He'd listen and go, he'd get his production team to listen, and he'd say, yeah, I'm playing that. Once he played the band's first single, which was Political in General, it was then that it attracted yeah, and our guys, and we had a guy named Charlie Air from A&M Records, and we went to see him, and he said, "Look, you got to get a young singer. You got to get a young singer because Fred was Fred would have been in his 30s then.
Singing with all the young boys. Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
he would have been in his 30s.
okay.
So that's when Junior said, "Look, we should really go to our music teacher at school and see if we can put together what do they call it? It's got out of my head. Old age.
A trio, a quartet?
No,
Group?
no, no. It was like some for people to come and try out for this.
Auditions.
Like
Auditions.
auditions. That's
Yeah,
the way to speak. Old age,
okay.
Brad.
That's okay.
Old age.
Yeah, okay.
Old age.
It's all
Anyway,
right.
I have these moments lapse. Anyway, so audition. So we put a little sign in the music in the class of the music class, and only one person turned up, and that was me.
Okay.
But if you're talking about insider trading, like on the stock market, I'd have been done for that because Junior was my best friend, so I was always going to be there. So yeah, I joined the band 2 years later, but I had to catch up with the rest of the band, and I was playing cello at the time, and I was just learning about music, so I had to spend 7 days a week practicing, and we practice more at the weekend, so we practice every day after school, just for me to catch up. And we'd be just, and my very first show was at a club in Cardiff, Cardiff is the capital of Wales.
Yeah, Wales.
Yeah, and it was it was called the Arawak Club, and I went on that show. I did my first song, and I was so nervous. My voice like that.
Right.
And could only get better. Things could only get better.
Couldn't go.
And then we went on to meet up with the record company again. So they put another showcase on with me singing lead this time. And that's when MCA at the time, who's now Universal, started to sign the band.
Okay. Before we get into the success, who were influences that you were listening to at a young age, or that era for you? Who were you listening to?
Our influences were the reggae greats, Bob Marley, John Holt, Oswald, and Gregory Isaacs, Dennis Brown, Toots and the Maytals, all the great reggae artists that if you've ever heard of any of the reggae artists, that was our influences. That's who we grew up listening to. So we tried to, because they always used to be played on sound systems, we wanted to be played on sound systems the same. So that was our influence, reggae.
Okay.
That's why we played reggae, because that was us.
That was your, okay. In 82,
yeah,
the album Youth of Today comes out. Now, I used to go to I'm 52.
Yeah.
I lived in Pontiac, Michigan with my grandmother, my Italian nonna. We used to go to a teenage nightclub called Spanky's. And because it was a teenage nightclub, of course, no alcohol, we had Slurpees. You know what a Slurpee is.
I know.
And they played MTV, they played videos.
Yeah.
And your Pastor Dutchie was played like probably every fourth song. It was huge. I mean, that song in America, as you know very well, was huge. So if you would, talk about that song. I know I read all the stuff about how some of the lyrics were changed because, the herb, and you changed it to that because you were all kids. Because I was going to tease you when you said memory loss. I was going to say, are you passing the coochie over there? Not the Dutchie, because we know that's where it originally was.
I'm glad you know, Brad.
So talk about this. Talk about the album, going into the studio, dance, and of course the song that just blows up around the world.
So talking about, the Youth of Today album, we actually recorded that in 2 weeks, because when I said we had to practice 7 days a week, we were actually practicing those songs on the album, and we used to go and play them live. and we used to do reggae covers. So, you know, Youth of Today was exactly what it is, Youth of Today, and that was us. But how it came about, in terms of, we used to rehearse every day, then we do shows at working men's clubs, which we were too young to be at. we played upstairs at Ronnie Scott's, and it was Don Letts who Don Letts recorded. He did the videos for The Clash, you know, and he did Eddie Grant's I think he did Eddie Grant's I Don't Want to Dance video, but he did our videos, our first 4 videos. So past the Dutchie, Don Letts did that, but he used to do promotions upstairs at Ronnie's in London. Ronnie Scott's is a famous jazz club in London, and he used to do promotions. So what happened was, we were doing this show, and I came out to the dressing room, and the dressing room was really small to go to the toilet. And as I'm walking through the auditorium, I looked to my left and I saw what I thought was I couldn't tell if it was a guy or a girl. Anyway, turns out the person I was looking at, and I went and got the band and said, look at this person. It was actually Boy George.
Okay.
And he invited us to support Culture Club, who were signed to Virgin. And he invited us to support Culture Club at a gig at Heaven. And Heaven was the biggest gay club in London. So we get down there, and it was a rail and tube strike. I'll never forget it. Rail and tube strike that day. So to get into London, I mean, for you guys in America, to travel 4 or 5 hours is nothing. For us, London is an hour and a half away on the motorway. We travel at 70 miles an hour.
Oh, I know.
That's right.
Yep.
So it took us 3.5 hours to get 100 miles because all the tubes are shut down.
Yeah.
So we get to the club, we do the sound check, and the place is heaving, absolutely heaving. So we supported Culture Club. And we actually end the set with Pastor Dutchie. Yeah.
Okay.
So the A&R guy, he says, when we started the song, he heard it and he said, this song, Pastor Dutchie, is there any way you could change the lyric so it's not about smoking a big old bong?
Right.
And we were actually going into the studio in Birmingham to record the demo of the album. Because what you used to do then was you demo your album. Mm-hmm. Then our guy would listen and play it to the record company, and they'd go, yeah, we like that, we like this, we like that. Anyway, so we went in, recorded 8 songs, and we did pass the Dutchie twice. But when we did it the second time, we just started the track and said, right, what we're going to change the lyric to? Well, we can't. It was literally Dutchie, Dutch part, yeah. And we're just jumping around.
Okay. So
we then take it to the record company. They're humming and hawing because they couldn't hear the single. So that's when they sent us to go and work with Funboy 3, which was Neville Staples,
Terry Hall,
yep, and Linval Golding.
Yep, I'm going to ask you about them now that you brought them up.
Right. So we went in and recorded a few songs with them, and that never worked out. So we then had to go back and sit down. So they found us a producer, which is a guy named Pete Collins, and he was managed by Peter Waterman. There's a lot of Peters here.
Okay.
Peter Waterman, Stock Aitken and Waterman. If you know Kylie Minogue and Rick Astley, Never Gonna.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, right.
It's my era, man. You're my era.
So Pete Waterman, the producer Pete Collins comes up to Birmingham to produce what he chose the song, Pastor Dutchie. And for the 2 days that we were there, he just kept saying, nah, this ain't right. So for 2 days, we did absolutely nothing, because instead of him saying, I don't really like this studio, he kind of made up all kinds of excuses and headed back to London. But it came back to us unbeknownst that he said, well, we can't play and and we were angry. So they sent us down to London for 4 days. 2 days we spent with Pete getting to know him. And then the next 2 days we spent recording Pastor Dutchie. And the way you hear the 7-inch, what you see on the video is not how we recorded it. We actually had to record it in a 12-inch version. Do you remember the 12 inches?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, right. So we had to record it. So if you ever hear the 12-inch version of Pass the Dutchie, that is how we actually recorded it.
I wonder if that's on YouTube. I bet you it is.
Probably.
Yeah, everything.
Probably. That's how we recorded it. And then what they did, splice the tape.
Yeah.
Here we cut and paste now.
Yeah, right.
But we literally had to physically, Peter Hammond had to literally cut the tape to make Pass the Dutchie what it is, to cut it down to that 3 minutes, because we recorded it. We did, I think the original version is 6 minutes 12.
Okay. And you guys, so you young guys were the ones that changed the lyric?
Yes. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. The line in there is, how does it feel to have no food?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys changed that. Obviously, you did that lyric too. But there was no, I mean, you guys were young. There was no, that wasn't about, I mean, if you listen to it, if someone were listening to it today, they say, and they didn't even know that you were young kids then, they might think that that was about, you know, the poverty, but like it was a message, like there was a political message there. But there was, you guys weren't trying to make a message with that line, right? You just, it was catchy, right?
No, well, it made sense because we're singing about a cooking pot.
Right, cooking, right.
And if you remember the original version, how does it feel when you got no herb?
Right.
But how does it feel when you got no food? So it wasn't a political thing. It wasn't a conscious political thing. It was just it was just logical. You're singing about
because of the, that's what I got you.
Right. So Brad, a lot of Americans thought we were singing about cooking pot. Think about this.
I know.
I'm like, well, how can an 11 and a 15-year-old sing about cooking weed? And you don't cook weed, you boil it.
But today they could.
Oh, we know that. We know that. But you think,
but not back then.
I didn't find that out until some 20 odd years later.
That's funny.
Americans thought we were singing about. I was like, what?
That's funny.
But it's it was a logical lyric.
Right. I got you.
In with the original.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how does it feel when you got no food?
Right.
Pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side. Oh, that's them now.
It makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Who was it that, when you did the video, who was it that opened up? The little short?
Calvin opened up.
Okay.
Calvin opened up. That's the first one where you see coming down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Calvin.
Okay.
This generation. Yeah.
Yeah. Who came up with the little box thing, the little house or whatever? Was that the director?
That's a speaker. That was done. We had to carry that along the bank of the river Thames. And
no kidding.
What he showed wasn't how far we carried it.
I bet. Okay. A point I want to read something. A point I want to make to the viewers, because this is very, very important and very, very powerful. They may not know it, but as MTV, which is my generation, they were good and they were bad.
Yeah.
They were bad because, and I'm calling them out, even though they have excuses, and you know where I'm going to go with this.
I know.
So they didn't want to play black artists.
Nope.
Everybody thinks that Michael Jackson was the first. Oh no. Musical Youth was the first black artist played on MTV. And I don't know if you've ever heard our president-elect Joe Biden, he got caught on a hot mic and he told President Obama when they passed the medical care, it was a big effing deal. He whispered in his ear, but it got picked up on the mic. And it's funny, but it's true. It was a big effing deal. Musical Youth was the first to be played on, black artists to be played on MTV. So let's put that in perspective.
Yeah.
MTV said, you know, they had all their excuses. And I've seen this interview before, but I had forgotten about it. I'm sure you'll know it. David Bowie was interviewed by VJ Mark Goodman, and he lambasted him about not playing black artists. And that was in 1983. But you guys were playing right before that. But David Bowie took him to task, and he didn't like that there was no, where are the black artists on MTV, and they had all these excuses. Oh, it wasn't, they didn't fit the format. Bullshit. I don't buy that. I don't buy it. You know, they were playing to us. We were the ones buying the records. I was 14. I was 13 in 81. I was the one buying the records. Yeah. So I don't buy that. So that's something that you guys, of course, you had the smash hit and all, you know, you had the success with that. But to me, for humanity purposes and what's right, you guys were the first. And I want people to know that.
I mean, Brad, we didn't know.
Right. You didn't know because you're kids.
We actually went in, I know we went in the February of 1983, and we went into the studio of MTV to do a live interview. We did an interview on MTV, and I only found out myself about 4 or 5. Well, it was Peter Waterman that told me about 4 years ago. It was Tom Petty that pushed MTV, but they classed themselves as a rock station. That's why they wouldn't play black artists. And the whole attitude behind black artists was black artist records don't sell. That was the, I mean, you know, you got Motown and you got,
Exactly.
you know, and you're thinking, and who was influenced by the black artists? Well,
Rolling Stones, the Beatles.
the Beatles. Yeah, so you look at it and you go, well,
Bullshit.
hey, yeah. And we didn't realize until after the event how big a deal it was. I mean, we used to, when we were recording the second album out in Los Angeles, we used to have MTV on 24/7, like most people did. So, you know, in that same month, that same time we did that, we did Saturday Night Live.
I remember that.
Yeah. So, you know, I get totally blown away. That's was groundbreaking, so to speak. But you don't know.
No,
you know,
and you guys were kids, so I you know, as I'm researching you and looking at this, because I didn't know that fact. I thought Billie Jean, I thought was the first one. I thought it was, and everybody does. If you don't know, you don't know, because that's what's out there in you know, in folklore. If you hear the dog barking, folks, that's Santino. I was gonna let Santino be in here. I took his collar off, but he decided I was playing your song, which when I do research, I play the artist that I'm listening to on loop. So I thought he was singing to it, but he was out of key. And I put him upstairs with his mother, and he's barking now because he wants camera time, but he's not getting it. He's not getting it. Okay. Another great track that came off of Youth today, and I had forgotten about the video until I did research on you. But I said, I remember that video, and it was actually VH1 that was playing it. Was Never Gonna Give You Up.
Yeah.
And you guys look like you had fun. And, well, first of all, did you have fun making videos? And talk about that video and song.
Right. So think about this, Brad. You're with your best friends from school. Yeah. Those would be junior high, I suppose. Yeah. Years. I'll call it years. Would have been year 11, 10, 9, and 7. Yeah. Now they call it years now. Yeah. In a global scheme. And you're out with your friends and you're in Jamaica. Yeah. And everything you need, you can have. And you are doing a video. You don't, does it look like we're having fun?
With pretty girls too? Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Right. No, we had the best time when we went out to do we shot 2 videos in Jamaica. It was Never Gonna Give You Up and Heartbreaker, but we spent a lot of time on the beach. And it never felt like work, because we're with each other. So we're with each other, and all we wanted to do was just play music and be the best, do the best that we could do, you know, be as best as we could be. We never ever talked about we want to have the big hits. We never talked about that. All we decided was we wanted to encourage other young people to play music and enjoy music, especially reggae music. So you can imagine we're in the home of reggae music, the birthplace of reggae music, doing a music video. And the Jamaicans took us to their heart. They took us to their heart. In fact, the whole world took us to their heart, as we found out, because it's not like it is now. If you think back then in the 80s, you know, communication was live via satellite, which was very expensive. And, you know, there was only a certain amount of press. You know, the music press was very staccato. It's not as open as it is now.
Right.
You don't get the diversity as you do now. And even the Grammy Awards didn't have reggae as a section.
Right.
Until after us, you know, we got nominated for Best Newcomers.
You're getting ahead of me. Go ahead.
No, but it's fine. So
no, go ahead. No, we're gonna talk about that.
But in terms of doing the videos, nothing but fun. Nothing but fun.
Okay.
And that's when we went from there to New York, February, -8.
Of all places, oh God.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
But there's a Never Gonna Give You Up for me. is a musical youth encompassed in all of it. Not that Dutchie isn't.
Right.
Never Gonna Give You Up is just one of those songs when you hear it, you go, I remember this.
And some of the songs you wrote, right? You guys.
Yes, we wrote that one.
Okay.
We wrote Youth of Today. We wrote Heartbreaker.
Right.
Most of the first album was written by the band. So,
okay.
And Fred.
Okay.
Fred
out of curiosity, because you guys were underage, did somebody's parents have to be a chaperone, or have to go, like you in acting? They had a parent. Oh my gosh!
No. Our parents never came with us.
Really?
It was the manager, yeah, the tour manager, the head of PR for the record company. There was 8 of us that travelled.
You have to do school? Was you required to do school? I can tell by your eyes you didn't, but were you supposed to, right?
Well, let's put it this way. It was only after the success that they started looking at what you've been up to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say my schooling never suffered, because it would do. Right. If you're traveling off, we used to fly out to LA for a weekend and come back to go to school.
Right.
And at one point we decided, I was actually leaving school and Junior was leaving school, and it was Patrick, Junior and Michael. No, Patrick, Calvin and Michael, that when we were touring, they'd have to have a tutor. And they'd have to get up in the hotel, have to get up in the morning and go and sit with the tutor. And me and Junior would stay in our bed because we didn't have to.
I'm sure they were thrilled about that.
Oh, yeah. They loved it.
Rebellion. Okay. Yeah. I had forgotten until I did research on you, and I actually have it on VHS, so I'm really dating myself. And you obviously had the track with Donna Summer, but you did a TV special, which I have on VHS somewhere, A Hot Summer Night.
Yes.
Donna Summer. So 2 questions off of that, because Unconditional Love was the song that you guys were on. One, Donna Summer's one of my favorites of all time. God rest her soul. We lost her.
Yes.
We lost her too young. I saw her in concert twice. In the what was it like working with Donna Summer, first of all, and then recording with Donna Summer? Then what was it like doing that TV special? Right.
So first and foremost, let's get into the story of how we got to record with Donna.
Okay.
So we're out in Los Angeles, and we're about to fly back to the UK because we was in a film with Mr. T. And the first time we went to Los Angeles.
It wasn't DC Cab, was it?
Yes.
You in DC Cab?
No.
Okay.
Hold on.
They cut you out of it?
Let me tell you how this goes. Let me tell you how this goes. So we fly in to LA.
Okay.
Right. Now, we're talking about, we're 6 hours behind, right?
Right.
So we're 8 hours behind there. So we land in LA. We were jet lagged like you wouldn't know. So 8 hours behind. We're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch cartoons. And in the UK, we couldn't watch cartoons. We'd have to wait till Saturday morning. But all day, every day, we could get them in the hotel to watch cartoons. So we love that.
Okay.
And all we ever heard during the day was, it never rains in California. Never rains in California. That's all we heard. Never rains in California. So we go down onto the set, down onto Universal set, meet Mr. T, the film DC. We don't, and the Barabbas twins, the Barbarian twins.
Yep.
Met them. Get down on set. Run through. We're standing on a street corner, and this is the song. Yeah. When we come to do the filming in the nighttime, it rained and rained and rained and it rained so much they didn't even have a gap, enough space to have a gap for it to stop so we could film. Anyway, in the day, unbeknownst to us, somebody from Donna's management company phoned up our manager and said, look, this is Donna Summer's manager, and Donna Summer wants to do a single with the boys. So our manager decided this is a hoax and put the phone down. So they had to phone him back again. And they said, no, this is serious. Donna Summer went, okay. So the logistics was, we were heading back to the UK because we had to get back to school. So they said, right, what you're going to do, you're going to fly from LA to New York. You're going to stop at the Hit Factory. You're going to go to the Hit Factory studios and record with one of the writers, which was Michael O'Martin. And he'll be there. Donna won't be there, but you're going to go and sing the backing vocals and then head off. And we got into the studio, no Donna, because she was in LA. We recorded the song, jumped back on the plane, flew back to the UK. And then when they finished the song, we were like, wow, okay. Because Donna had become a Christian then.
Yeah.
So Unconditional Love was her homage.
Right.
Anyway, they then decided they wanted to do the video. So they were going to fly us, they were contemplating flying us to New York via Concorde to do the video. That was the talk. Anyway, they must have looked at the price of the tickets and thought, nah. Let's send Donna the other way.
Okay.
So Donna came to the UK. In fact, no, we had to fly out to LA again. We recorded the single, we had to fly out to LA again and then met Donna.
Okay.
And we were all jet lagged. I remember I sat on my glasses. So there's some photos where I haven't got my glasses on, but that's with Donna. And she took us to Mr. Chow's and we were all falling asleep at the table. And it was the first time we'd ever seen somebody, you know, they're at a restaurant and she said, look, all this food, can we get it boxed up? And we were like, what? We never knew this. She said, I'll take this back, you know, back home for my members of my team and stuff.
Right.
And she flew over to the UK and that's where we recorded the video for Unconditional Love.
Okay.
But when we did Hot Summer Night was the 6th show that we did with Donna, recording, singing Unconditional Love.
Right.
We were doing a show, we did a show at the Palace in LA, Palace Theatre.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to have a police escort. We had to come off stage, jump in a limo, police escort up the freeway or the highway to Orange County to go and do Hot Summer Night with Donna Summer. And it was fantastic. She was so nice. She used to buy us all these, you call them English muffins.
Yeah.
She used to buy us a big basket of English muffins. And you know what happened to them English muffins, Brad?
Yeah, you tore them up. Oh, you threw them, yeah.
We started throwing them at each other because we couldn't eat them.
Yeah, all boys. Yeah, we lost. It's sad. We lost her. You know, I'm not saying this is 100% fact, but there's a theory. Not I shouldn't say a theory, but that it might have been because of the dust from 9/11.
Yeah.
That killed her. I mean, I saw her twice. I mean, she was just so talented. I mean, what a voice! So talented, so beautiful. I think her daughter. It was Brooklyn Sedano. I think is her daughter.
Brooklyn Mimi is the oldest one. Mimi used to
Bruce is the husband, right? Bruce is the husband.
Yeah, Bruce Sedana.
Yeah, Bruce Sedano. Because he played for her guitar.
Yeah. Bruce wrote a song for us on the second album.
Okay.
And Mimi used to meet us backstage, wait for us backstage when we used to come to the show.
No kidding.
We used to tease Calvin because she was Calvin's age. We used to say, look at it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, we had a great time. Fantastic time.
Okay. We're going to talk about the Grammys. You had started it. So in 84, as you said, you guys are up for Best New Artist. And it's interesting because somebody that you weren't sure was it a man or was it a woman comes back into the picture. Because the nominees were Culture Club.
Yep.
Big Country.
Yep.
Eurythmics.
Yep.
And Men Without Hats.
Yeah.
You were in some, unfortunately you didn't win. Culture Club beat you out, but you were in some damn good company because all of those acts were big acts.
They were.
And sadly, I didn't even realize I was trying to reach out to Big Country, but I didn't know, sadly, the lead singer of Big Country committed suicide like, I don't know, maybe 10, maybe even 15 years ago.
That's right.
Maybe more. But I mean, I did interview Ivan Dorshek, who is the lead singer for Men Without Hats a couple of years ago. So were you guys at the Grammys?
Yes. Funny enough, you say that, Culture Club. I sat there in the auditorium going, why did we bother coming? The damn thing went the other way. But no, when we experienced the Grammys is the biggest thing in the music industry. And I mean, if you think about it now, I mean, it was big. The Grammys is the Oscars of the music industry. It's the biggest thing in music industry. Mm-hmm. And for us to be nominated as a reggae artist amongst those artists is a big deal.
Yes.
And I remember I can remember it all so well. We stayed up on the Redondo Beach. And again, Donna sent us a whole basket full of big basket.
I'm gonna have this
Brad,
vision now when I
the
watch
basket,
this with Debbie of you guys freaking throwing the doggone English
we
muffin.
got no, Brad, the basket was as big as my arms are now. That's how big the basket was
Wow.
of English muffins. That they were massive.
Wait, was she making them or just buying
No,
them?
no, she bought them. She had them. They
Oh,
were
okay.
special. So
Okay.
she bought them and had them sent to us
Wow.
as a thank you. Yeah, because Unconditional Love brought her back into the
Yeah.
limelight.
Yeah.
And in this country, we had a single called 16 and Unconditional Love going up the charts together.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, on our way to the Grammys, we were in the back of the limo watching the making of Thriller.
Okay.
Michael Jackson's The Making of Thriller. But we'd met Michael in 83 when we were recording the album. And he actually showed us the video for Motown 25 before it was released.
Oh, I watched that too.
We were like, me and Michael were like, Michael Grant from the band.
Mm-hmm.
Our mouths were like this.
With the
When
moonwalk.
we watched it. Yeah, when we watched it, it was like, and all we said to him was, what are you going to do now? He said, well, I'm going to do one more video. You know how he talks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be for 3, because I like horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to do the video for 3. And that's all he said. So to be sitting in the back of the limo and you talking about watching the making of Thriller,
Yeah.
and we're on the way to the Grammys.
And he's there.
But it wasn't just that. That was the Grammys where he picked up 8 Grammys for that same album.
Right.
When we came out the limo, we thought nobody's going to know us. They don't know us. Nobody knows us. That's our mentality was nobody knows the band. And when we came out, we got the biggest scream. It was so big, we were frightened. We ran. We just ran into the auditorium. And we were seated by Don King and Irving Azoff.
Yeah.
And
Don King. I'm
Don
a
King.
boxing guy. That's why I
Yeah,
started
yeah.
this business in boxing. Don
Right.
King.
So it was at the time. Well,
He wallet, did he?
no. The funny thing was, Don King had just signed the Jacksons to the Victory Tour,
The Victory Tour, yep.
and he was riding with Irving Azoff, and Irving Azoff was the manager of the Eagles,
Yeah.
but he also ran MCA.
Yeah.
So you got this short man and this tall man, and they sat by us, and it was it was an experience, you know.
Okay.
It's something you never ever forget.
No, I mean the talent back then. It's just amazing. The groups. It looks like around 85 is when you left Musical Youth. Is that about right?
86.
Okay.
86 was officially the time. I mean, I only left because I wasn't happy.
Right.
Um,
Talk about what you want about that. You don't have to go into detail.
no, it's fine.
Whatever you want.
Basically, what had happened was, Patrick we'd gone out to do a tour in the West Indies. And Patrick had a relapse because he had a breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of somebody, who knows, somebody just saying, look, guys, take a break. You know, you've been at this for a good while. You haven't had any rest. You know, you've been pounding it out. And it's not like we were working. It was just the pressure of, how can I say? It wasn't even pressure. It was just growing up. That's what I could look back at, because we just fell out. And I always said to the guys, look, you know, we might fall out. And they said, no. But I was the odd one out because I didn't have any family members.
Right.
I was touring.
Researching. Yeah, you were it.
When I was touring on my own. You know, I didn't have my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, none of them. So I had to grow up pretty fast. And remember, we didn't have mobile phones and FaceTime.
Right.
You know, phone calls were expensive then.
Mm-hmm.
And we were brought up to be very, how can I say, have respect and manners for your adults. And you always listen and, you know, behaved yourself. We get ourselves in some minor scrapes, but it wasn't anything serious. And we couldn't go out clubbing.
Right.
Couldn't go out clubbing. And we had to be off stage by 10:30. So our road crew loved it because they could go out partying. I mean, they'd be finished by 11 o'clock or 11:30.
Right.
But yeah, I struggled with Patrick not being well, and then it was the talk was they were going to throw him out the band, and I was like, nah. And I thought, you know what, I'm not happy. And all my mother said to me was, if you're not happy, you know, you do what makes you happy. And I'd become a Christian then, so it was easy for me to make my decision. In fact, I had this conversation with Michael just last week, and I said it wasn't about the money, because when I left the band, I wasn't thinking I'm not going to have any wages. Wasn't thinking that at all. It was just, I needed to keep my own sanity within myself. I had to, you know. And when I watch other artists, you know, the likes of, I mean, Britney had a famous breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
She melted down, but
She did, and she was a big star, big money. And
Britney's still a big star now, but
right.
probably Britney started young. But the thing with that was, which I never had to comprehend, her dad and her mom were involved with the management, so she could never get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
She's a solo artist, you know, and then it doesn't bode well for any artist whose parents are involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Beyonce, Michael Jackson, all of them. If their parents are involved, it's difficult for them to separate.
Right. You mentioned boxing. I throw this out there. You know, like I said, I'm a boxing guy by.
I love my boxing.
Yeah. You like boxing too?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? We'll have to talk about that. I didn't even have the paper to talk about it. I got some questions in. You look at boxing, most father-son doesn't work. Very few.
Yes.
The one I ever saw, but then they wound up falling out was Jack Mosley and Shane Mosley. But most father-son in boxing do not last.
No. We've got one.
We've got
one. Joe Calzaghe.
Oh, yes.
Undefeated.
His father passed away. Yes, they did. Joe, but that's an exception. You're talking about Enzio.
You're right.
Yes.
Enzo.
That's an exception. He was a beautiful man. God rest his soul. He died a couple of years ago.
That's right.
Yes. And Joe Calzaghe, undefeated, too hell of a fighter. But so you left the band because you were unhappy.
No guidance, Brad. No guidance.
Yeah.
This is what you got to understand is we're stepping into the unknown. I don't know what I'm doing. I might think I know what I'm doing at 18, but who knows what they're doing at 18? Who knows what they're doing at 18?
Right.
I can look at my daughter who's 18 now. She don't know what she's doing. She's at university. She don't know what the future's going to hold.
Right.
But then we'd already had the success. So for me, and in my mind, when we got released by the label, MCA, little did I realize, and it's only as I look back, little did I realize that Musical Youth was the success of the label in the UK and around the world. It was a success story. It's something that's never going to happen again because it was so organic and never expected Pastor Dutchie to sell the amount of records it did.
Right.
And the fact that we're here 38 years here talking about it, 38 years later talking about it, and I could talk to you in a way where I'm conscious and I can remember. The reason why I can remember is because I was the oldest in the band, so I remember more things. But it is absorbed like a sponge still at that age. But you think that all the money, you know, girls, whatever, that's not going to make you happy. And what some of these artists are realizing is that you need separation at some point. You need to find something that's going to calm you down. You need to be happy in yourself. So if you're not happy in yourself, it can't work.
No, it can't. It looked like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've interviewed, like I said, I just interviewed the Escape Club. I'm interviewing one more for the Escape Club. If I read correctly, researching you guys got screwed out of money too, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Well, listen, when we were recording the first album, a couple of things came up. One was the songwriting critics. So we decided, Junior and myself were the oldest, so we wrote the music. He wrote the music, I wrote the lyrics. But we decided, five band members, it goes in as the five of us.
Okay.
Doesn't matter who's written whatever, it goes in as, that's Musical Youth, bang. Because somebody has to lead and somebody has to follow.
Okay.
You know, the Beatles, although you get Lennon and McCartney, little people know that, you know, Ringo and George were part of the publishing. Mm-hmm. You know, Paul and John wouldn't allow that not to happen. Anyway, the first thing Peter Hammond said to me was, nah, you should have your own, you should make it your own. And I said, but we're a band. And he said to me, and I was 15, he said, Dennis, wherever there's a hit, there's a writ. And I said, nah, not with this band, not with our band, no. Anyway, 22 years later, I get to find out. Remember I said we got released by the label?
Yeah.
Little did I know, we left that label. We didn't owe them any money. Most bands back in the 80s ended up owing labels money.
Right.
We never owed them the
Like a
money.
bank. It was a bank loaning you money,
That's right.
pretty much. Right.
And Pastor Dutchie alone paid for the album and the second album and the third, which has started. And I didn't know. I'd got rid of my manager, who was the manager of the band, a year after I'd left the band. And he didn't say anything. And it was only, I had a manager who went out to LA with me, and he called me and said, you must be happy. I said, what are you on about? He said, well, Pastor Dutchie's in The Wedding Singer.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah. He said, and you're getting any royalties? I said, what are you on about? He said, you should be getting royalties. I said, I haven't had any royalties. And furthermore, when I phoned MCA, which was Universal, to speak to them about the band and our music, all I wanted to find out was what was happening with our product.
And they blew you off, right? They blew you
right.
up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he said, look, let me do some scratching and see what. So he comes back and he says, look, it turns out we've got to get 5 signatures and they will talk to me. Well, we couldn't get 5 signatures because Patrick had passed away.
Right.
So they accepted his mum's signature as, his benefactor.
Yeah.
Anyway, all of a sudden, they pay out a 5-figure sum to each of us. And I said, at the time, I was running my own car rental company. And as a businessman, I'm thinking, oh, hold on a minute. I was told there was no money there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how comes all of a sudden they're paying this money? Where's this come from? And I said, how long is it? First and foremost,
how long has it
been there?
And how much do they really owe us?
How long's it been there? How much do you owe us?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it wasn't how much you owe us. It was, well, why would you give us this money? I was told there was no money. I wasn't asking about money. I had my own money. I was at a time in life, in spite of MCA and Universal's money, so it didn't matter to me. I was fine. Anyway, when we investigated, they hadn't paid us any royalties for 18 years.
Bastards.
18 years. And I actually, when we was negotiating, and I said, look, we want interest, we want compound interest. And they were going, no. Anyway, we did a desktop audit. Because of the law statute of limitations, they only had to pay us for 6 years.
Yeah.
So whatever payout we got wasn't the full payout.
Right.
And I can honestly say it was over $1 million between the 5 of us.
Mm-hmm.
In money terms, probably more, who knows? Mm-hmm. But we got some, but we never got all. And we then found out some other stuff with regards to our manager and our lawyer, which left a bad taste in my mouth, because you're thinking, hold on, you've just ripped off kids. That's all you've done. You've ripped off kids. You haven't, and I had to say when we was in the negotiations and I spoke to the lawyer for Universal, I had to actually explain to her, look, I've got a friend of mine who's gone to his grave thinking he's broke. Now, this is the human side of it. This isn't just a meme, it's just another name. This is the human side. So really, if you want to go to court, we'll go to court, because I don't really care. I've waited 18 years. I can wait another 2 years. I really don't care. Right. All it's going to do is embarrass you as a company, because all you've done is ripped off a bunch of kids who had no experience in the business. We didn't have any sharks with us. In fact, we were the ones who were taken for the biggest ride, because there were adults there that didn't look out for our interests. Our parents couldn't cope. My mum wouldn't know nothing about the music industry. Michael and Calvin's mum and dad would know nothing about the industry. Patrick and Junior's mum and dad knew nothing about the industry. So when we got released, it was like free for all. Not even the lawyer, who was supposed to look out for our needs, came back, and he was a music lawyer. Not even he came back and said, well, guys, look this is what you're supposed to be getting. Even if he said, look, I want 10%, I would have gone, well, yeah, like I said, 50% of something is better than 50% of nothing.
Right.
And as I said, it just left a real bad taste in my mouth. And I'm actually glad that I could talk about it, because you go stir crazy if you start thinking about it.
Well,
You know,
like I said, I interviewed the Escape Club recently and other artists, and a lot of these bands in the '80s that weren't even kids. I mean, it's worse as
right.
kids. I mean, how do
Oh,
you get so early? But you got people that were in their 20s and 30s, and they got
right, right.
because when I interviewed Trevor Steele, Trevor Steele's the lead singer of Escape Club. He said, Brad, the record companies basically were banks. They loaned us money, and it's like we took advances against this. We had to pay for this because when I interviewed John Holiday, the guitarist, he said, no, the way we do it now, if we go out, we might hire a production crew. Whatever
Yeah,
your price is, this is what we pay you. You don't get nothing else. You get this. We pay you what you say you want 20 grand. We pay you 20 grand. Then the rest of it is ours. So
yeah.
what I'm going to ask you is this as well with the business. I would usually ask you, what are your words of wisdom to someone coming into the business today? But when I was thinking about that question, I said, you know what? That's not really a fair question because the business is so different today than when you were in it. So I don't
Right.
really know if you could say words of wisdom because, I mean, of course, be careful. If it doesn't sound right, it isn't right. I mean, that's common sense.
Yeah,
But the business side of it and the packaging and people going on YouTube and becoming sensations and auto tune and all of this
right.
crap that some of the stuff they do today is so different than when you were when you were at your height of your success. But is there anything that you could say to a new artist coming in
Okay,
away from maybe just I don't even know how to put it, but you know where I'm
right.
going with it.
Let's get this straight. Any musician who tells you they're not a businessman is lying, because 90% of it is music, 10% is the business. Now it's the 10% that really you need to concentrate on. Music, in terms of a new artist, well, it's always about the songs. It's always about the song. You could have the best singer in the world. If they don't have the right songs, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Example is Aretha Franklin and how long it took them to, they got a prodigy
Finally
here.
get her, yeah.
Right. So for Aretha to get to Aretha,
Mm-hmm.
he has to go to Muscle Shoals and work with a bunch of guys that she don't know. But guess what? That mix worked.
Yes.
All the jazz, all this wailing, all this, she just broke it down, give me a sound, and that was it. Now, first and foremost, you gotta have the right song. You don't have to have the looks, because back in the 80s, it was all about the looks. Now, you gotta be able to, I mean, we're coming back. Just hold on to as much things as possible and don't sell it out too quick. Case in point, Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Case in point, because the success, people want the success. Taylor Swift is the example. If you want to go for the 21st century example of what not to do, Taylor Swift is the example.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, because she's now moaning that somebody's taking her songs and making more money. Well, she gave them up
Yeah.
for the success. So why are you complaining? Why are you moaning about something that you gave up for the success you've now got? It doesn't make sense.
Right.
You might as well just leave it. It's your songs. If you want to argue, if you're getting your publishing, you signed off that publishing. That's the deal. Like you just said, if this production company wants 20 grand, we pay you 20 grand. That's it. She gave up them songs to that label, and they made money off it. Well, listen, we're in the business of exploitation. That's what's in the contract, exploitation. So if you can hold on to as much of your music as possible for as long as possible, if you can hold that without the money, do it. Because if the song's any good, if you're any good as an artist, it doesn't matter, does it? Because you'll always be successful and you've got more outlets. You don't have to. The industry gave up the right to complaining about online when they called Napster and all that the devil incarnate, instead of embracing it. It's like Netflix and Blockbuster. Blockbuster was offered Netflix before Blockbuster went under.
It went under, yeah.
And Blockbuster is no longer.
Right.
And what are we talking about?
Netflix.
So the industry has changed so much in terms of, we've got a YouTube channel. I don't push it as much because I'm too old, but I understand the medium of, I'm a kind of person who says less is more.
Okay.
So the less I put out more stuff, the more control I have, and when it goes out, the better it is for me. If I just keep putting things on YouTube, I'm actually diluting the product.
Musically.
Musically, the product.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know, I mean, now they talk about eyes on the product. That's what they talk about, eyes on the product.
Right.
That's marketing. Now, you've also got to understand that you are a product. You are a tin of beans. You are a popcorn flavor. And once you understand that, and bear this in mind, Brad, remember what I said, we didn't have business people amongst us in terms of parents. Our manager was, okay, he understood a little bit, but Musical Youth was a global product. Little did we know.
Right.
It's only now when I go out to the States to do shows like Lost 80s and live shows with Snoop Dogg, and I get to understand what kind of influence we had. I get blown away. I get so humbled. It's like, wow.
I'm telling you, I listened to that song. I hadn't heard it in a long time. You hear it on the 80s radio. I don't have Sirius anymore. When I had Sirius, they played the 80s.
Yeah.
But I was, like I said, I play it whenever I have a guest come on in music, and right now I'm on the 80s kick trying to interview as many people as I can, because like I said, I grew up on it. I just keep it on loop. So I'm reading stuff about you, I got it playing. Man, I'm telling you, that song, it's just one of those songs that it's a feel-good song. Yeah. That song, it's not dated. It's the video. I mean, we know they have all CGI, all that stuff nowadays, but the video is still cute. I don't know if you saw this. This isn't even a question, but I was laughing. They're doing these reaction videos now. Have you seen some of them? Oh, yes. There's a girl named India who did your.
Yes.
She's like, they're so cute. And she's like, and she's moving and she's going side to side. And this young lady has like 229,000. So you owe me. I'm giving you a plug, India. 229,000 subscribers to her channel, but she does these reaction videos. Just out of curiosity, did anybody ever do a cover on it and a completely different feel of the song, or no?
There's been one or two come through to us.
Okay.
Somebody did Youth of Today. Somebody did a rock version of Youth of Today.
Okay.
But they've never really done they've done remixes of Pastor Dutchie. And I've just recorded a lockdown version for the new album.
Okay.
It's called Pastor Dutchie Lockdown 2020.
Okay.
On the new album, which is When Reggae Was King. And I mean, anytime I was doing some shows out on the West Coast last year, and with other 80s artists.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Brad, when I go and do these 80s festivals and I see all the artists that are there, I'm still one of the youngest. In fact, I'm the youngest artist.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah.
I actually stand there talking about going.
Yeah.
I think
you're like probably. I think you're two. How old are you?
I'm 2 years older than you, so I'm 53 now.
Yeah. Oh, 50, okay. Yeah. You'll be 54. What, in December?
No, 54 March.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys are like Trevor and them. They're in their early 60s.
Yeah.
Earlier you had mentioned Fun Boy 3 that you did some stuff with them. I've been trying to find them. I know Terry had problems with substance and stuff, but they don't even have a website or anything. I don't think they have a website or anything.
Well, they were the specials.
Well, the specials, yeah, right. They were specials before they were Fun Boy 3, right? That's
right. So it's specials, Fun Boy 3. I mean, I still speak to Neville.
Really?
I'll get hold of Neville if you want.
Yeah, definitely. Because I kid you not, I had it on wax because that was what it was at the time. And as you know, wax is coming back, so we're not dated anymore, man. Everything old, what do they say? Everything that is old is new. Bell bottom pants, all that shit came back. But
what's not coming back?
You know.
Well, I've got cassette.
I got cassettes downstairs in the basement. You know, there's kids. I tease them. I say, "Do you know how to fix a cassette?" And I'll hold up a pencil, and they'll be like, "What's the pencil for?" I said, "You don't know what to do with that?" No. You know this. You put it in the thing and you turn it. Debbie and I were laughing about that. Okay. I don't want to put you in a melancholy mood because you're gonna.
No, it's cool.
But I do want to. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this question. Away from the demons and all of that, Patrick was your friend.
Yeah.
A positive for people that do remember Patrick from the band. I read all this stuff, and I don't need to rehash it. But from a positive side, what would you like people to know? He died very young in
He did.
1993.
Yeah.
I think he passed.
Yeah.
What would you like people to know about Patrick in particular?
Well, Patrick was the quietest one in the band. But you know what they say about the quiet ones, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I'll give you a story. We used to, when we were out in Germany doing doing TV shows, because when the schools got involved with the band, the schooling authorities, we could only work 42 days a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Officially.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like you doing all the stuff that you need to do for the year in 42 days, which is never going to happen.
Right.
Anyway, so when we were staying in the hotels, we'd be on the tour bus, and Patrick and myself, we'd sleep on the tour bus because there was beds there, and they'd have to leave us with the key to the bus.
Oh no! Why do I envision you guys taking the bus?
No,
okay.
We never took it onto the road because we knew that wasn't going to be right.
But I got a feeling you drove it.
Yeah, Patrick, we used to drive the bus up and down the car park.
I didn't even see over the freaking steering wheel.
So he'd start the engine, and we'd move it and park it, put it back and park it. And it's only as you said it, as you asked me that question, that's the first thing that came to my mind on how Patrick was.
Good.
And that's exactly, he was so mischievous.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, is that what you got up to? That's what it was like. But when I listened to the band in a third person, knowing I was there, in a third person, when I listened to it, I'm thinking, wow, they could play.
Mm-hmm.
He could play.
Yeah.
And Patrick used to play, and bass players would know this. He used to play a fretless black string bass, fretless black strings. So there's no frets, there's just dots. And he used to play it with black strings and a black background. And I remember Bruce Foxton from the Jam, actually saying, wow, he's playing a fretless bass. And he was only 15. And he never missed a note, never missed a beat.
Wow. Talented.
Never missed a beat.
Talented. God
he
rest
was
his soul.
talented. Yeah.
God rest his soul. You mentioned the 80s packages. I was supposed to pass a message to you. I'm interviewing him Tuesday. The drummer, Kevin Rankin from Flock of Seagulls.
Oh, yeah.
I want to tell you hello.
Yeah, I'll be seeing him next year.
Okay.
I'll be seeing him next year because I got on that Hidden 80s tour.
Yeah,
just by accident.
Yeah. I can't wait for you guys to tour again because I'm interviewing you. Also, I come backstage at Moochie because I had Wayne Chung on.
Yes.
The Escape Club. I got one more member of Escape Club coming on. You're coming on. Kevin's coming on, and I've reached out to some other people.
Well, I did the shows. I did 3 shows last year when I was out in LA. And bearing in mind, I hadn't been out to LA. I spent my 21st birthday in Los Angeles.
Oh wow!
So you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out there with my manager. It was just me and him.
Okay.
He had a heart attack, and he was only 36. He survived. He's still alive.
Okay.
He was only 36.
Wow.
And I ended up, we was only supposed to be out there for 2 weeks, and I ended up spending a year in LA. And I'd gone and done a show with Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
And Cypress Hill, Bone Thugs and Harmony. And it was the Great American Smokeout Festival.
Oh, Lord. Did you breathe in?
Well, I had no choice, did I? I went into Snoop, and Snoop's offering me a spliff, and I'm like, I don't do it anymore. I don't smoke. And my year in LA was
I can imagine what he said to you when you said that.
No, it was cool.
It was cool? Okay.
He was absolutely sad because
Okay.
I went to dinner with, when I was there, I actually ended up going and spending 2 hours at an Italian restaurant with NWA.
Oh, no kidding.
I know.
Wow.
I ended up in some place.
That was Easy. We had already passed away, though, right?
No.
Oh,
Easy.
Still alive? Easy was still alive? Oh,
Dre,
this is for you. We were
Mello.
21. Okay.
This was just before the release of Straight Outta Compton.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they were actually promoted. Well, no, they were doing showcase because I went to the showcase, and they were deciding whether they were going to sign with Interscope or Island Records, because I was signed to Island Records at the time.
Okay.
And little did I know.
Yeah.
Little did I know.
Current, as far as the other side of the business, currently, I know you mentioned you're doing a recover 2020, a cover of it, change it. Any other projects you have, or everything is kind of in a holding pattern because of COVID?
No. The project, I mean, we just, when I was out in LA last year, I signed to a company called Thump Records.
Okay.
I signed the new album, Musical Youth album, When Reggae Was King, to Thump Records. I hadn't put it online. This is where I say less is more, because I didn't think I had even though I know the business, I didn't think I had the networks to, because it would just be another track online, another album. But what I said to Bill from the record company was that, look, you could actually put this in for a Grammy if you can get it in for the Grammys for the reggae section, it will give it some impetus. And that's when he asked me to record Past the Dutchie Lockdown version 2020. So you can now get the album online.
Okay.
The new album. And yeah, I mean,
that was where can they get it?
You can get it on iTunes.
Okay.
Deezer, you'll see it on Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying that side. I don't get carried away with it now, Brad, because the industry, it is what it is.
Yeah.
With so much stuff like YouTube and stuff, I haven't got a problem. I prefer now what we're back to. We're back to live gigs.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're noticing now, you're either a studio artist or you're a live artist.
Mm-hmm.
In the 80s, 70s, 60s, you had to be both.
Yes.
What you did, you recorded your album, you went out and toured the album. Now, some of them artists don't like touring. No disrespect to Amy Winehouse, and Amy's fantastic, but Amy did not like touring.
I got to feel she liked touring because of Demons too, though.
Right. No, but Brad, she's singing about her ex-lovers.
Yeah. So
you got to go out on the road for 18 months and sing about. Adele struggled with it as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's good.
It's a chore, but the industry is such that the way they're earning their money now, they have to go on the road.
Yeah.
That's why all these record labels now talk about this 360 deal where they get involved with I had that when I signed to Island Records, when they said all my merchandise, they get 100%. And I went, no, you don't.
No.
That merchandise is mine. So I'm not signing that deal with that in there.
Right.
And I was able to understand that. Now you look at it, memorabilia is a big thing, as you know.
Yes.
People always come to me, what have you got? I'm like, well, if I give it to you, what have I got for my kids?
Right.
And I understood that part. What we didn't have was a lot of photos. Like now, the photos are all coming off your phone.
Yeah.
And they're high quality.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't. I don't think some of us appreciated some. I mean, because I'm from Birmingham, and we were very down to earth. When I went back to school, it was, even when we released the single, we decided as a band, we're not going to tell nobody in our school that we're releasing the single, just in case we didn't tell them.
Right.
We never told them until it was only until the song went to number 26 and then number 1 that we'd already left to go and record Youth of Today. So we weren't around the school, but when we went back to school,
you were superstars.
Kids are kids.
Yeah.
So some of them would you're just a show off.
Yeah.
Or
you're a star.
What we decided as a band, and these are the conscious. I mean, we're 15, 11, 12, 11, 13, and 14. As a band, we'd said we're not going to lord this over our friends. We'll keep stum. We won't say anything. And they'd read in the magazines that we were in France, and they're looking at us. Were you in France? Yeah. Why didn't you tell us? It wasn't stuff like when we do interviews. Mm-hmm. We weren't coached. They just put us in front of us.
Oh no!
That was it. Answer the question. That's why sometimes when people say to me, if you don't want to talk about it, I'm like, ask the question.
Right.
If I don't want to answer it, I'll tell you I don't want to answer it.
Okay.
But it's better to be open and honest
Right.
People see it. And like I said, the band Musical Youth was so organic.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't manufactured.
Right.
You can tell the manufactured bands.
A
You can
lot of
tell,
bands are manufacturers, you know that.
you can tell what happens to them after. You know, there's longevity in the band, but what happens is they pull it. When I left the band, I didn't think, oh, the band's going to split up. I wanted them to find a new lead singer.
Right.
It just so happened that Patrick went the way he did, Junior went the way he did, Calvin went the way he did, and Michael went the way he did. But Michael and myself, Calvin and myself, and Michael, we talk. Calvin and Michael are brothers. They're like Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
But it's Michael and myself that are closest.
Okay.
So we're like two kindred spirits.
Okay.
But never did we discuss about being the age we are now, in our 50s.
Right.
Yeah. Still being musical youth. And I tried to reconcile with myself. Well, how can you be a musical? And I'm like, well, who else is going to be musical youth?
There's only, well, I shouldn't say only because we lost George and we lost John.
Yes.
You know, there's only Ringo and Paul left, but there's still the
That's
beat.
right.
Okay. Before we segue into the second part of the question, and I added a note boxing, so I'm going to give you a shot at talking about boxing.
Go on.
You so graciously said that you would perform the song itself. So
yes,
you let you set up or do what you got to do, and let's go for it.
You want me to go for it now?
Absolutely.
Well, my wife's gonna come downstairs and start shouting.
That's all right. She can be back up.
She's upstairs. She's upstairs now. She's probably listening. I'm not allowed to sing in my house, you know, Brad. I can tell you this. I'm not allowed to sing in my house. What time is it? Right, so it's 11:30, right?
Okay.
All my neighbours are going to be listening. Maybe. Let's see if we can get this thing fired off. This
generation rules the nation with version.
Music happens to be the food of love. Sounds to really make you rub and scrub. Slang badang badang bong biddly biddly bong. Bong biddly 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 bong. I said, pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. It a go bun. It a go done. Janu. He said to pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. It a go bun. It a got done. January. It was a cool and lovely breezy afternoon. You could feel it 'cause it was the month of June. And so I left my gates and went out for a walk. As I passed the dreadlocks camp, I heard them say, he said to pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. It a go bun. It a go done. January. He said to pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. It a go bun. It a go done. January. And so I stopped to find out what was going on. Because the spirit of Jack, you know, he leads you on. Yeah. There was a ring of dread and the session was there in swing. And you could feel the chill as I seen and heard them say. He said to pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. It a go bun. It a go done. January. He said to pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the Dutchie on the left hand side. It a go bun. It a go done. January. Come and say listen to the drums. And me say listen to the bass. Give me little music, make me wind up my waist.
That's okay. That's all right. It happens. I thought your wife threw something at you to shut up.
Hold it on. That's technology. That's what happens.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate you did that. I was jamming to it, man.
That's what happens when you're mine.
Yeah, but I was listening to you. I said, I know he can go louder, but he don't want to go too loud because the wife is going to throw something. That's cool. That was enough. I appreciate it, man.
That's loud. Was it all right? Did it sound all right?
Yeah, you sounded good. I love it. I love it. Appreciate it, Dennis. Thank you, brother. Okay. Random questions. There's no right or wrong answers. Whatever comes off the top of your head, and I'm throwing boxing in too, since you said you like it.
Cool.
But we'll start out with, what is your favorite genre of movies?
Oh no. Why'd you ask that? Okay. Favorite genre. When you say genre, what do you mean?
Any type of movies, whatever you like. Drama,
Okay.
Western, sci-fi.
If there's a movie that I go back to that every time I pick it up, I just watch it. It's Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, great movie.
Of the yeah, of the 21st century, I suppose now. I suppose it's going to be the Avengers.
Well, something changed in the sound just a little bit. You're a little bit more faint.
Am I?
Yeah. Let me
You
see.
lost me. No, is it my end or your end? Two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
You got me?
Shawshank Redemption. Okay.
Shawshank Redemption is the one. Any Denzel Washington movie, to be fair, apart from The Mighty Quinn.
Okay. You didn't like his accent, right?
No.
I knew that's what you was gonna say. Not too many people did. I love Denzel, but it happens. What are you gonna do?
Oh man, no, it can't work. And
Okay.
then I suppose if you're going into more recent, it's been the Avengers.
Okay.
Avengers series of movies. So
Okay. Who is your personal favorite musical band?
oh no. Why do you have to ask me that? It's got to, I mean, the king of reggae music is Bob Marley.
That's
So
fine.
any Bob, but then I've got Stevie Wonder with Bob is my reggae and Stevie's my inspiration in terms of wanting to sing.
And didn't he work with you on
Yes.
a solo album?
Yeah, when I was out in Los Angeles, I recorded 2 songs with Steve.
With Stevie, okay.
Yeah, with Stevie, and he's a good friend. And he appeared in the video, and he doesn't appear in anybody's videos.
No, I know. That's a big deal.
So I was quite stoked on that one. So yeah, and a lot of people, that goes for me. That's how the industry is. I'm working with a musical legend,
Mm-hmm.
and not even his influence could help me in terms of my solo career. But it didn't matter to me because
Right. It was more you were touched to work with him.
it's there on record.
Yes.
So anybody who wants to say it never happened, well, hard luck. I don't care.
There you go. So it's a romantic evening before your wife tells you shut up and stop singing. So who do you put on since you're a singer, who do you put on for a romantic evening?
Stevie,
Stevie?
because
Okay.
we both love him so much.
Okay.
And she'll end up with some Bob as well.
Okay. Okay.
So it's them two. Them two are for my funeral, going in and coming out.
Okay. I'll throw the boxing ones in. We'll throw them in here. Give me 3
Oh,
favorite fighters.
okay. Well, the greatest is the greatest.
Ali. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would go then with Moneymaker,
Okay. You're talking about Floyd.
Floyd Mayweather, because Floyd unbeaten. And I suppose if I'm gonna go, let's give the British a bit. Lennox Lewis.
Okay.
I mean, Tyson was his man. When he beat Tyson was, yeah.
Okay. You ever meet Frank Bruno, just out of curiosity?
Yes, I did actually. I did. I met Frank.
Okay.
Okay. And Lloyd Honeyghan.
Yeah, I remember Lloyd Honeyghan beat Donald Curry.
Don Curry, yeah. Just before he went out to do that fight, I met Lloyd.
Okay.
And when he beat the best pound for pound.
He sure did. It was an upset. They didn't see that coming.
No,
Okay.
but then, go on.
No. Yeah, no, they didn't see that one coming. Do you have a favorite fight?
Oh, there's too many. One of my favorite fights was Uno Mas. Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah, just the second one against Duran when he said no mas.
No mas.
No mas.
I was actually in Los Angeles at the time, and I was meeting up. There's some English guys out there, and they said, "Look, you want to come around and watch the boxing?" And I'm thinking, "Yeah." I said yes because they were English guys.
1981.
Yeah. Was it 81? You know, Mas? The third one. That was the third fight that I saw.
Oh, 80. Oh, the third fight wasn't very good. That was 89. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
That fight.
He won that. That was
Yeah,
19.
yeah. Anyway, that fight.
Okay.
They invited me around, and I'm thinking, why have I said yes to go and watch a little TV screen like this? Right? When I got there, they had the biggest TV screen I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, but I suppose the upsets, Thrilling Manila, you can't, Thrilling Manila with Ali was a fight of all fights.
Yeah, great fight.
But then Marvin Hagler versus Minter in Wembley.
Your English people did not treat my man. I know Marvin.
No,
They
no.
threw bottles at him, and
like it.
Mentor's ass. Mentor just passed away.
Yeah. Minter, yeah.
Hey, boy, they were sore losers that
Oh,
night.
I know.
And Hagler didn't do anything wrong. He didn't cheat. He kicked his ass. He cut him up.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah.
And little did they know they were watching greatness.
Oh, yeah. And then he came back and he beat another contender from England, Tony Simpson.
Tony Simpson from Leicester.
Yeah.
Split his.
Yep. I'll tell you a fighter that you'll be like, wow, I can't believe you said his name. You had a fighter there that had potential, but unfortunately the drugs got the best of him. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Go on.
Kirkland Lang.
Oh, gosh. Kirkland, yeah.
He could have been something special. I'm not saying he'd be the greatest at Sugar Ray, but he had potential, but the damn drugs.
Yeah. They always get caught up.
Yeah.
I suppose sometimes it's what I've noticed, because I never got myself hooked into the drugs. I mean, listen, I smoked my weed. That was it. That's as far as I would go. Remember I said I was in Los Angeles when I was 21.
Right.
I could actually understand why people could go there and lose it.
Yeah.
Absolutely lose it.
Yeah.
So you have to have a strong will, and you have to know within yourself what you're about. So boredom is one of the things that does people in.
Mm-hmm.
And what I tend to find is that boxers, if they're not training, and Floyd was different. If Floyd wasn't boxing, Floyd was training.
Mm-hmm.
Mayweather, and he set the benchmark, because everybody else.
As a fighter, I since I've said it on my show before, my boxing show that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest fighter of his era, I won't argue that. But as a person, I can't stand Floyd.
No.
I can't stand.
But Brad, that's just ego. That's just ego.
But ego's one thing, but he's put his hands on women. He's put his hands on women, and that's a bridge too far for me.
Yeah. I got you.
I don't care about all of them have ego. You got to have an ego when you get to that level. But it's when he beat his kid's mother, it's too much for me.
Yeah.
That crosses the line with me.
That's something in there that's not
right.
But anyway.
But as a fighter, I always tell people I can distinguish between the fighter and the person. Fighter-wise, the man, and business-wise, he's the richest boxer that's ever been, and probably will be. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya made a lot of money, but he didn't make Floyd Mayweather money. So I give him, and he's still making money. And he retired undefeated. I don't like when he fought Conor McGregor. I thought that was a freak show. That was a joke. But what he did in the ring, I give him his props. But you remember when Sean O'Grady, who's a buddy of mine, came over and he fought Jim Watt?
Yeah. And
Jim Watt kept headbutting him, because Sean was beating him, and he'd headbutt him, and they stopped the fight, and Watt wound up getting, keeping the belt. But now you've had some great fighters from over there.
Brad, you're talking about Jim Watt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now Jim Watt's a world champion.
Yes.
Jim Watt has got the straightest nose.
Jim does?
Jim Watt. He's a world champion boxer.
Right, yeah. Right? Oh, yeah, I know.
He has got the straightest nose for a world champion boxer.
Wow, that's something.
And for me, when Floyd went to fight Manny Pacquiao,
yes,
I just told everybody, look at Floyd's face after 48 fights.
Yep.
Tell me what his face looks like, right? Yep. Tell me what his face looks like after that many fights, and you tell me how somebody who's gone in the ring with 48 professional bouts, and his face still looks like it does.
Yeah.
He doesn't get beat up.
I agree. No, for the most part, he doesn't get beat up. Do you have Showtime by chance?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, ours is Sky and BT Sport now. But
I don't know if you get it over there, but you should. If not, eventually it'll be on something you can see. Mm-hmm. We just watched last night. Showtime did a documentary on Hector Macho Camacho.
Okay.
Who was great in his day.
That will eventually come.
The Demons, yeah. Catch that. What have you ever been to a live boxing match?
Only amateur.
Okay.
I had a friend of mine who was a ABA champion
Okay.
in the 80s, and he turned professional, but he only ended up doing 4 fights, and he never
Didn't make
made
it. Okay. Did you ever meet Mickey Duff?
No, but I know of Mickey Duff.
Okay. All
Because
right.
Mickey Duff was one of the promoters in the 80s who had all the fighters.
Yeah, all the good
It's all
fighters.
about promoters.
Yep.
You know, they were the fixers.
Okay. Back to the questions. Favorite male singer can be any era.
I just gave you 2. Bob and Stevie.
Bob and Stevie. Okay.
Don't get me wrong. Marvin, Luther,
Right.
you know, John Holt,
Okay.
Gregory Isaacs, Sugar Minott, Dennis Brown. They're all there,
Okay.
but them
Flip
2.
it. Flip it. Favorite female singer.
Yeah. Hold on. Oof. See now, there's quite a few. Shaka Khan.
Okay. Great one.
Shaka Khan.
Okay. Shaka Khan or Rufus the Shaka Khan?
Any.
Okay.
Any.
All of it. Okay. Being a singer, I always ask the singers this question. It might be one of your songs. It might be somebody else's song. I got a feeling it's going to be I know it's going to be a reggae song. So you're in the shower or you're on a long drive and it's just you.
Yeah.
What song comes into your head and you're humming or you're singing?
What's my favorite or what?
What, like a song that comes to you, like you might be in the shower, you might be driving by
Now,
yourself.
remember I told you I'm not allowed to sing in the house.
Okay, that's right. You're not allowed to sing in the house. Okay, so in the car, on the tube, on the tube.
Right. So if you're saying to me, it's any Bob or Stevie song, to be fair,
Okay.
but one that gets me going is Rudy, Message to Rudy by the Specials.
By Specials.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Rico Rodriguez on trombone.
I'm gonna have to listen to that.
Da, 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 da,
It's called
da.
Message to Rudy.
You're messing around.
Okay.
Straighten right out. That's the one.
Okay. I'm gonna look it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Usually a guy question, but are you into cars?
Yeah.
What kind of car do you really like?
Well, Brad, I used to own a car rental company.
Oh, okay.
So
you did say that.
they're all. How much could I rent that for? But if you're gonna say to me, what car would I have that you could keep for life?
Mm-hmm.
It would be a Bentley.
Okay.
Because a Bentley is a Bentley is a Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're old or young, Bentley's the one. It wouldn't be a Ferrari.
Okay. You
It
put
wouldn't be a Ferrari.
You put me in the mindset since you said car rental. You ever see the movie Carlito's Way?
Yes.
Okay, do you remember it well or not really?
Carlito's Way.
Al Pacino.
Yep, go on.
Okay. If you remember at the end, he gets killed by John Leguizamo.
That's right.
But his dream was to go to the Bahamas and he was going to meet a guy that he was in prison with because they were going to rent cars.
That's right.
Were you the guy he was catching up with?
No.
Because you weren't in prison. There you go.
No, I wasn't in prison.
There you go. All right. Favorite noise or sound you like to hear?
Favorite noise. The roar of the crowd when we finish playing songs.
Okay.
So when you finish a song, instant.
Okay. Flip it. Least favorite noise or sound?
The thud of a crash.
Okay.
Cars hitting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Curry goat and rice.
That's what John said yesterday, curry. He's over in Australia. He was in England. He lives in Australia.
Yeah.
John Holiday. He said curry because I knew it. I know it's an Indian dish, but I didn't know.
No. Curry goat is a West Indian dish.
Curry goat. Curry goat. Okay.
Curry goat.
Okay.
They call it goat curry, some people, but curry goat and rice is my favorite.
Okay. So is it the same curry as in India? Or that's different.
It is curry, but it's different meat.
Well, he was saying that English have changed it.
They have,
true?
because that's true.
Okay.
So in Birmingham, yeah, we have what we call the curry mile.
Okay.
Now the best, it's England's favorite food, curries. But it's the West Indian curry goat and rice that I'm talking about. Curry goat, rice and peas.
Gotcha. Okay. If you could hit the lottery for the big one, 2, 3, 400 million,
Yeah.
What would be the first thing you would do?
Find somewhere to hide.
That's a good answer.
I wouldn't build a studio in my house, that's for sure.
I'm not trying to be too personal. Are you a churchgoer?
I haven't been to church for a while, but I'm a Christian.
COVID. I mean, but okay. Are you allowed to sing in church at least?
No.
Not even in church?
No, you can't because of COVID. But
no. I mean,
when I was at my church, I used to sing.
Okay.
And
I should have said, will your wife let you sing in church? I mean,
COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
sing at home.
I mean, my wife's father was a top jazz musician in Birmingham.
Okay.
He did his last gig at 94.
Wow.
So, yeah, and he came to the UK in the 50s before the migration. So he was here playing the floral, and he was telling me about where he used to play, and he used to have a colour band at the bar.
Yeah.
What he was playing at.
Yeah.
You know, and we didn't have the chickening circuit here.
Right.
But he did a lot. You know, he taught a lot of musicians in Birmingham.
I want to the viewers. I want you to hear that, because once again, and it's a problem. I don't think it's ever going to go away. It can't get better. Yeah, racism is never going to go away, because a person that's a racist, no matter what, you're not going to change heart and minds. You're just not. No. If they're a rotten person, this is my opinion. They're not going to change. But you're all the way in England. Even if it's different and not in your face like it is here, because I speak out against racism quite a bit, especially on Twitter. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter where you are in the world. This is a world problem, folks. We have it bad here in the United States. We absolutely do. But and we got people here that don't want to admit that there's systemic racism.
No, they don't.
You're over in England, you got problems. I heard people in Australia, everywhere. We got it all over the place. Okay. Yeah. So it's very
even
real.
today.
Right. Even today.
Some footballers took the knee for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. Right.
And the fans were booing.
Oh, in England too?
They just let the fans in today, and they're booing. It's going to be in the news.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll see it tonight.
It's embarrassing. There's only 2,000 fans in there, Brad.
Yeah.
So they can tell who they are.
They can tell who they are. And see, I stand with Colin. I'm a military guy. You see the flag in the back. I was in the military for 20 years. What he did, I'm absolutely for. It's his right. Just like it's your right to do that. You're not, Here what they've done is they've changed the narrative to the reason why he's taking a knee. The reason why we know he's taking a knee is for police brutality against people of color. But they want to change the narrative here. He's disrespected him. I was in the military. If he disrespected the military, I would have even if I agree with what he did, I'd say it. I say, look, I stand with him, but it is disrespectful. It's not. If somebody burns the flag, I'm not for that. I mean, even though it's your right to do that, I think it's stupid. But you have the right to do that in this country. But that's a shame that they're doing it over there too. But they boo. But see, this he got me going. They boo, but instead of being, I always say, be part of the solution, not the problem.
It's ignorance.
Yeah, it is ignorance, and it's here too.
They don't know any better.
No, they don't. And when you don't know better, you don't do better. And when you refuse to know better, you're never going to do better. That's what it boils down to. Okay, pre-COVID, favorite vacation destination?
Orlando.
Orlando, Florida? No kidding. Disneyland?
No kidding.
Or just Orlando?
No, Orlando.
Orlando.
My family, 5-6 times we go out there. And then last year I went out to LA.
Okay.
But there's 6 hours Orlando, 8 hours LA.
Right.
But we had the best time. We always have a good time when we come out to the States. So difference between LA and Orlando is LA doesn't have the rain like Orlando.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. If you could meet one person, Dennis, from any time in history, dead or alive, who would you like to meet, and what would your first question be?
Right. So, bearing in mind, I've already met one of my musical heroes. It would be Bob Marley.
Right.
First question is, how do you manage to write so many songs that's still relevant today?
Okay.
Stevie's the same. You know, Stevie. The difference with Stevie is Stevie can't see,
Yeah.
and Bob came from nothing in terms of the island, the music, but he wasn't about the marketing. He was just about the music and what was going on. But
Right.
for somebody to die at 36,
I
now
know.
I'm 50, you're in your 50s,
Mhm.
I'm in my 50s, 36, that's no age.
No.
And the
But-
body of work.
But it's his body. But think about this. He's kind of like James. Well, he had a bigger body of work than James Dean. But James Dean, the actor, died very young. But
That's right.
today they're still talking about them because their body of work. Now Bob had more body of work, but that's a testament
Yeah.
to the man, to his talent, that we're still talking about him. And his music will outlive both you and I and many others, and way down the road in the future. No, I love Bob Marley. Bob Marley was. What's just out of curiosity? What's Ziggy up to? Do you know?
Ziggy, as far as I know, he lives out in LA. He's still recording,
Okay.
getting into his films, but he's got a name like Marley, so
Yeah.
you know he'll just keep going.
Yeah. Well, I remember when he had a hit in the '80s. Tomorrow's People.
On people,
That was a big hit in the States.
It was.
I had that on cassette.
Tomorrow, people.
Yep, I gotta play that. When we get done, we're gonna play that. With everything we've discussed,
Yeah.
if you had to sum yourself up as a human being in a couple thoughts, how would you sum yourself up?
Oh wow. I'm still alive. It's funny because I suppose I'm a very down-to-earth person. So I meet people where they're at. Whether I've just come off stage, whether I'm on stage, or I'm just doing my day-to-day. I suppose local hero, people put in legend, and I don't have to take that word in terms of yourself. So just somebody who was humble enough to be able to deal with a situation that you never knew would happen, you never expected to happen, but you just keep going. And just a proud dad.
Okay.
Proud dad.
Okay.
Love life, musician, love my reggae music, love people, and love meeting people and how interesting they are. In just having you talking to me talking to you, is like, wow, you don't realize the influence that you've had without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I just finished listening to 2 books. One's by Melanie B, and one by Mariah Carey. And Mariah talks about her relationship with her fans and how it kept her going. And people thinking, yeah, she's chatting nonsense. But that for her was her grounding, you know, her fans. So I get it. I get to understand, because sometimes they're talking about things that I know
Mm-hmm.
as an artist.
Yes.
But then when I hear some artists saying, oh, it's so hard, and I'm thinking, if it's so hard, why don't you just say no?
Yeah.
And she had that situation where she was married to the guy who was involved with her career.
Mm-hmm. Tommy
So-
Mottola.
Yeah. So it was difficult for her, and people looking at it, and she's in a $30 million mansion. She's still not happy.
And a lot older than her too.
Yeah, but you're looking at it and you're going, oh, hold on a minute. But there's another example of she couldn't separate the two.
Right.
So it was hard. Not hard in terms of the physicality, but the mentality about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when people thought she was having a breakdown, she actually broke it down to say, I was broken down because my family couldn't help me. He wasn't helping me. And although I'm successful, I still don't know where I'm at.
Yeah.
and people trying to comprehend it can't comprehend it because they're seeing you got all the money, you got all the big house, you got this. They don't see the person.
Right. What's the old saying? Money can buy a lot of things, but it can't buy happiness. But
That's right.
people that believe in materialistic things think it can buy you happiness.
But
I mean, look, I'd be unrealistic if I said, I know the Beatles said all we need is love. We need love, but you need money too, because
you need
you
money.
can't
Money.
pay your mortgage
Bill.
with love. But I understand where the Beatles are coming with that. But I try to explain to people, it's a beautiful lyric, and yes, we do need love. Yes, absolutely. But you need money too. But you're absolutely right. I mean, you can have all of it. You can have all the adulation, all of that. Different people, different things, what they're looking for. It's when I go back to what I was telling you about the Hector Camacho thing. You remember how big Hector Camacho was in his time. He was the Floyd Mayweather of his day.
That's right.
And he broke down after a fight, and he was crying, and he was telling Tim Ryan, the CBS sports guy, I just want friends, because the people around him weren't his friends. They were hanging around. They were like MC Hammer's entourage, and we know what they did to MC Hammer.
Yeah.
But they weren't friends. They were hanging. Not there was a few, but most of them, they weren't there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So, like you say, but I from interviewing you, and I got a couple more questions, but some of that what you set up about yourself, you're definitely humble. You're definitely a humble guy. There's no, and it's nice that I'm meeting people that I watched. It doesn't matter the age difference. You guys happen to be the youngest group, but interviewing people that I used to watch on MTV. Like I was telling Deb, I said, did you ever think that I'd be interviewing like you today? When I put the song, because I always play the first couple bars. You remember that? And she's like, yeah. And then she's walking around singing the doggone song out of tune, which I'm going to get smacked for saying that, but that's okay. But I still love her. But, and interviewing Mike Tyson, interviewing these guys that I watched growing up, because Mike is a couple of years older than me. That's cool. But you're definitely a testament to you're definitely humble. All the years that you've done interviews, and like you said, they push you out there. I wish I could see some clips of those back when you were kids. I bet you a couple of you fell asleep in the middle of the interview, I bet.
No, we never did.
No, you never fell asleep? Okay.
We'd be laughing at each other.
You'd be laughing at each other? Okay. Is there one question that an interviewer never asked you, and you said, I wish I was asked this question? And if so, what's the answer?
What's the question?
What is there a question that you've thought of and said, I wish they asked me this? No? You've been asked everything?
Not at all. I mean, you're asking me questions, even when you ask me about Patrick, right? So you asked me about Patrick. People don't always ask me about Patrick. But the way you went with it was, I want the positive flip. Right. I don't want the negative flip. Right. I want the positive flip. So just recalling that straight away, sometimes, and people keep saying to me, you need to do the book. Yeah, I'm going to do the book. I have to do the book.
Right.
I'm not saying I have to do the book for the vanity of it, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
I need to do the book for the history of it.
Yes.
Because if I don't, there's no reference. Because there's no reference in terms of, there hasn't been another Musical Youth.
Right. Right.
Think about it.
No. I mean, look, you can't compare, and I'm not knocking them. I don't want to knock any groups, but like, not even modern day, because they're like 20 years ago, like Hanson. They're not. It's different. It's different.
Right, Brad.
Backstreet Boys and all that. It's not the same.
No, Brad. Hanson is one family.
Right. That's true. That's right. I forgot about
Jackson's was one family.
Right. That's true.
Here, I don't know if they had any success in America. 5 Star.
No, I don't know them.
5 Star was almost like the Jacksons. It was 3 sisters and 2 brothers. Yeah. Black, sang and dance.
Okay.
Even they weren't the same. Their dad ruled them with an iron thumb, iron fist. But their dad was integral part of their career. So when they had some success here in the UK, in Europe, when it all started, and they call it, there's a series out here called When the Lights Fade, for sportsmen, when the lights go out.
Yeah. Yep.
We do the same for musicians.
Yeah.
Now, because the dad was integral part of the business, when it stopped working and it fell apart, it falls apart as a family.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, you know, they took advance against their royalties for record future sales, and it all fell apart in terms of they had a big house. They had to come out to the big house. You know the whole story.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You get a success, boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
And the dad was lying in terms of it was their father. So you gotta put, that's their father, that's their manager. And when the two marry, you can't separate it. Yeah, Michael Jackson suffered it with his dad.
Yeah.
And Beyonce had to stop her dad from being hurt.
Right.
It hurts,
Right.
but they need their father back. My daughter sings, and I've always said I would never manage my own daughter because I know the industry. Now I'll guide her and I'll show her, but I won't manage her. I'll make sure that she's looked after, but I won't manage her. I won't teach her singing because she has to get her own style.
Right.
I'll advise her, yes, you sound, open it like this. But with your children, because they're your children, you want to keep them as your children and you want to be their dad. But some artists, as I said, they've suffered for that reason. In terms of Mariah, she suffered because her mom had her, and her brothers and her sisters didn't look after her. She had to fend for herself.
Right.
In listening to her. So the fact that she's become so successful, you kind of think, wow. She's had to cope with a lot mentally. Remember, it's not the physical, it's the mental. It's always the mental.
Right, that's what
You
boxers too.
Camacho, the
Boxing
same.
is the same thing.
Yeah, it's always the mental. It's when you lose the first fight. Mike Tyson was the same.
Yep.
You know, listening to Mike wanted to self-destruct at some point.
Yep. He was
But then
never the same after he lost to Douglas.
The drugs, you know, and the fact that he looks back at it now and there's some turns that he could have taken, but he didn't.
Right.
But then America's a vast country. I'm in a country of 60 million people. Remember I told you there's only something like 1.2 million black people in this country.
Right.
And I go to America, it's a different kettle of fish. You got 30 million black people that I can talk to. I don't have to go outside of the black community to worry.
Right.
The fact that Musical Youth crossed that divide, for me, is a testament to the music, you know, and the way it was put out there. Now, if we were thinking about just the money, you'd have just said, right, let's go to America and do what we got to do. But I have always said, nothing comes before its time. Now, when I had my children, my whole factor was, well, I want to watch my children grow up. You know, I want to watch them grow up. Now they're growing up. I can go and do some shows and do more to it. I was always gigging. Right. And I'll never stop gigging. My wife's had discussions, why don't you stop? I said, well, if I stop, I'll be the most miserable man on the earth, on this side of the earth. Right. The fact that I can say yes or no, I don't rely on the gigging for my happiness, if you understand what I'm saying. Some people in the pandemic, because they've always relied on the live shows, it can affect them in a very big way. Oh, yeah. And this is a whole year of it. It's not just 3, 4, 5 months. It's 6, 7, 8. And they're missing it. You know, I suppose when we come back now, you'll see all them artists going out on the road. They go on the road for the instant gratification. Right. You know, when we were touring, I suppose we probably had the cheapest #1 party ever. No kidding. Because remember, our party is comprised of McDonald's, Kentucky.
Right. Exactly. You want to watch cartoons.
Right. You see, little things. When we did Saturday Night Live, Gene Simmons came backstage to see us. Okay. And he came in the room, the dressing room, said, "Hi guys," and went, "Hi Gene." Makeup, or was he no? No. He wasn't in makeup. Okay. But we did meet him in Germany with the original Kiss. Okay. And we were just like, "Whoa, these guys come out with these boots and this." Yeah. And he came back on Saturday Night Live. What did he say to you? Came back and said hello, and we just said hello and just carried on playing the game because we were watching Bloop, Bloop. Yep. And he said it's the first time we'd been in a room and everybody ignored him. That was just us. That's funny you keep mentioning Atari, man. I had the freaking, it was one thing. It had the little knobs, and like you said, blip, blip. You play tennis, or you play against the wall. That's right.
Yep. Oh yeah. And then I mean, when they had arcades and Space Invaders came into Pac-Man, we're like, oh.
Space
Today,
Invaders. Space
today they laugh at
Invaders.
them.
Space Invaders was the one.
Yeah.
We would spend hours playing, but we never had the portable Space Invaders.
Right.
Remember? It was in the big old arcade.
Yep.
So, as I said, for me, the things that we've got to help us watch things, documentaries, that mean the content now that's on the TV.
Right.
You've got all this stuff, and you still can't find stuff that you.
Yeah, I know that's right. I know that's right.
You're always harping back.
Yep. Final question in the interview. Do you have a saying you live your life by?
Oh. I do actually. Don't ask anybody to do anything you wouldn't do.
Okay, good one.
Yeah. So if you're not going to do it, and also, and it's old sayings, it's the classics. It's like, don't treat people how you expect to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
Black, white, yellow, green, gay, straight, whatever.
I'm the same way.
Just meet them where they're at.
But I want to say something. I want the viewers to hear this. I want to be on record. You said earlier, I listen to everything. You said you became a Christian.
Yes.
Right? You hear what you just said, though. Treat everybody the same, black, white, straight, or gay, right? If you're a true Christian, this is what I feel.
Yeah.
You don't have to say that you're okay with that lifestyle. That's your right.
No. That's right.
No. I'm not even asking. But, but if you're a true Christian, you don't look down on somebody because they're gay.
Nope.
You just exemplified what a true Christian is, because we have too many people in this world, not just this country where I live, that are hypocrites.
Yeah.
And they look down on somebody because they're gay, or because they're black, or because they're white, or because of whatever color, whatever race they are, or because they don't believe in God, or they do believe in God. You can have your opinions. I'm all for them. You don't, like I said earlier, you don't have to like that Colin Kaepernick took a knee.
Nope.
That's your American right. You don't have to like that the footballers, I think you call them over there, took a knee.
Yeah.
But it's their right, and it's not your right to say it's not their right. Because if we take away their rights, then when they come to take away our rights, as my father said on TV many years ago, you can't say a word. You have no right to say nothing.
I always ask this question. When you say you look down on somebody, well, where are you looking down from?
Exactly.
You know, people say, where are you from? I say, from Earth.
Yep.
I'm from Earth. I came from a mother, but I'm from Earth.
Right.
But I can't abide by, I'm looking, if you're going to be rude to me, I'm going to be rude to you.
That's right. I'm the same way.
If you're going to be respectful and manners for me, I'll be respectful and mannersful to you. My kids, I always tell them, people always remember good manners.
They sure do.
They remember.
Because it's a dying trait today. You meet more rude people in customer service or retail. You know, they get mad here. They say, oh, you're not coming to my store no more. You're ordering Amazon and having to come to the front door. Well, of course, there's a convenience there. But also, they don't keep in mind that when you go to the store and you can't get someone to help you, you want to find a pair of jeans, or you're in a grocery store or whatever, and there's no help. And you're like, well, you know what? I could just order it and have it come to the store. I mean, to the front door, and I don't have to, you know, that's where they're being rude. You know, who wants to deal with rudeness?
No, well, I always, you see, for me, because I've been able to travel and live in places, I always remember. Now, I'm in the UK. If I go into the jewelry quarters in Birmingham, right, where they say all the gold and the diamonds, I stand outside a shop. I'll be looking in the window. They'd probably close the door, put the lock on. Now, I remember going out onto Fifth Avenue when I was 17, New York. I'm standing outside that shop looking in, and the guy comes, opens the door and says, can I help you? You want to buy anything? Look at him. He must have been thinking, what's wrong with him?
Yeah.
I was, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's people. He wasn't looking at this. He was looking at, can I make a sale?
Right. Because realistically, if you're in retail, it shouldn't be, only color they should care about is the color green.
Green.
And
or your card. What card you carrying?
What card you carry, right? Because in these days, everybody got a debit card. All right. Before we close out, for the viewers, what are your social media platforms where they can follow you?
So it's Facebook is Musical Youth.
Okay.
Yeah. And Instagram is Musical Youth 30. In fact, it's the real Musical Youth on Instagram, and it's Musical Youth 30 on Twitter.
So
But
who's running your Twitter? Because they gave me your thing. It's not you.
that's our number one fan. That's Nathan.
Well, you know what? Nathan's doing good because I'm gonna tell you what. Nathan hit me right up in a direct
Yeah,
message
yeah,
and said, "Hey, here, hit up Dennis, hit up
yeah, yeah,
Mike."
yeah.
So
I know, but
good for him.
that's because that's what he does.
Good.
He wanted to do it, and I said, no problem. If you want to, he's in Holland.
Oh, no kidding. Cool.
He's in Holland,
Cool.
but he's a big fan, and he tracked me down. And you know, if somebody makes that much effort, remember a lot of this stuff is trust. You know, you talked about Camacho, and he had people around him. The only person I can really talk to about the experience for Musical Youth is Michael or Calvin.
Mm-hmm.
Can't speak to Junior because Junior's schizophrenic, so he's not able to have this conversation, which is sad.
I read that.
Sad, because if you met Junior when he was 17, he was the leader of the band. He led the band.
Junior was which one in the band?
The drummer.
The drum. And which guy, the little short guy, is who again at the beginning of the video?
Right, so Calvin's the one in the blue with the berry.
Okay,
And Michael's the one in yellow.
With the
Yeah.
or whatever.
That's
Okay.
Calvin.
Okay,
That's Calvin.
Okay.
And Michael's his brother in the yellow
Yes.
on the keyboard. So Michael's now in Canada with his kids. And I did actually say to him, when you get your kids, you're not going to want to leave. And he's a house husband now. So
okay.
he looks after, and he didn't start his family till he was 48. So.
Well, that's like John Holiday from the Escape Club. I don't know if you noticed. He tells me, he says, "Oh, I go to bed early now. I don't have that whole rock star, you know." And I said, "Okay." Then he told me, and he's older than me. He said, "I got a 5-year-old." I said, "Oh, so you got older kids, right?" He said, "No. He said, I started young." I said, "Yeah, okay." I said, "No, okay. Now look, you go to bed at 9 o'clock, John, because you got a 5-year-old that wakes you up at 5:30." He's like, "Good point. Good point."
Michael's the same. Mike used to come on the shows to get a rest.
I read that I read a lot of stuff on you guys. He said he wants to go on tour because that's when he can sleep. I heard that. Yeah. And you know, back to one other point that you made. Yeah, I've done that a lot, like with Patrick, because I read all the stuff on Patrick. It's all out there.
Yeah.
I want, you know, if you want to read that, and of course it has to go in the book. You have to have perspective. But if there is a good, if you said no, there was nothing good about Patrick, then there was nothing good about Patrick. But if there's something good about somebody, in most cases, I like to try to get that out because you don't always hear that. It's like I interviewed, I know you remember him well, Tommy Morrison, the boxer.
Yeah.
Okay, I interviewed his sons. We used to live in Oklahoma, and I covered his sons are heavyweights, but Trey is the better of the two. And you know, his father died of AIDS, even though at the end he said he didn't have it. He had AIDS, 100%. And I asked him, I said, tell the viewers one thing about your dad that they never heard. Something, I don't want to hear any more about the AIDS. We know about all this stuff. Tell me something else, something that would move, and he did. I want to close out with this. If you would, a positive message for people dealing with, well, you have a great outlook with COVID, but positive message to people dealing with, obviously, the COVID, but also ending with talking to your fans. The platform is yours.
Okay. First and foremost, don't buy the notion that COVID isn't serious.
Mm-hmm.
It's very serious. The reason why we're in this situation is because some leaders, and I'm talking about my own leaders, they didn't take it seriously. Mm-hmm. Now you got to look at it in this term. The whole world, the communication now, I'm 6 hours ahead of you. We're talking instantly. Mm-hmm. Now, the greatest minds, the greatest scientists couldn't control the virus. Mm-hmm. They got the vaccine, but they don't know how long the vaccine's going to last. They don't know if you're going to get it twice. So you've got to take it very seriously. If you value your life and you value your health and your family's health, you'll take it seriously. That's for COVID. Don't deny it. It's a fact.
And put that freaking mask on.
It's a fact. Mm-hmm. Doctors are trying to save your life. When you go into the hospital, that's serious. They're trying to save your life. Okay. Now for our fans, well, it's just not. To be fair, Brad, I know that Pastor Dutchie sold 5 million copies around the world, physical copies, not downloads. Physical. Right. People went to the store, bought the record, took it back home, and put the needle on the record, and off it went. I still get humbled, like you talking to me now, that you used to watch. And to me, it's fascinating in terms of, it's not an ego thing. It's just, even when the band went back to school, I was interested in what my friends thought. Not in so much as, look at me, in how did they cope with it? Because, you know, people say to me, oh, I met your such and such. And they say, are you such and such? Yeah, yeah. And I always ask them, do you believe him? When they say, do you believe him? Because they think how I'm going to react is I don't want to talk about it. I'll talk about it till the cows come home, because what else? People just want to know. You want to know? You want to know the hard facts? You've read. Some of it's been, yeah, I'll get that. I've followed it through. Or, nah, I'm not buying that. You have to take the negative with the positive. Luckily for me, with Musical Youth, there's more positives than negatives. The only negative is never got to tour the world, never got to tour all of America, you know, bits here and there. And now I'm at an age in life where I'm able to go and do these things that I wanted to do, and it isn't finished. Still want to record. Doesn't matter if I'm signed to a major label, an indie label, whatever, but the outlets are there, as we discussed. So if I want to just put it up on YouTube, I will, but sometimes I won't. And sometimes, if you look at my Instagram page, The Real Musical Youth, you'll probably see 9 photos.
Okay.
Not because, it's because I tend to look at all the other artists pumping it out there. And once they get on that treadmill, it becomes perpetual. And when you haven't got something to show, well, then people think, how comes he's suddenly not on Instagram? Or it becomes that so important to them. Where for me, I could do a gig in my local pubs. I go and do gigs on my own at venues, and people say to me, how comes you're doing it here? You're too good for here. I'm like, well, I started playing in pubs. The biggest rock bands in the world started playing in pubs. So if I can't play in a pub, I can't play anywhere. So for me, it's just a gig is a gig is a gig. There might be more people or less people, but it doesn't matter as long as you enjoy your life. And for the fans, I'm just glad that they enjoy still listening to reggae music, and we've turned them on, some of them, to reggae music. That's what I've got to say. Okay.
Well, hey, look, you got direct access to me as stuff comes out, when you want to get something out, or even if you're sitting there and say, you know what, I got a message I need to get out to people. Let me know. You
no problem.
You got direct access to me. I'll bring you on the show anytime. I tell all my guests this. I appreciate that you use your platform for positive things. I appreciate in this interview that you said, I respect someone that says they're a Christian, and not in words, but in actions. Because what you said, you hear so many that will not accept somebody that's gay, or they will not accept somebody that's in an interracial. I'm in an interracial relationship. That's taboo. No, it's not taboo. We're all human beings.
That's right.
We're all God's children. We're all God's children. He had his hand in all of us.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, you don't have to accept certain things, but you don't look down on anybody, and they're not less of a person or a human being. And I respect that. I'm glad that came out in this interview. And when I hit stop recording, it's documented now, because I'm serious. I respect you for that. I really do. You're a humble guy. And I knew that from the emails. You were very quick to get back to me. I appreciate it. But it's these traits are rare these days to see them out there. When you do, and you've had success, I don't care if you ever have another success in your life again. You had success.
My success is I'm here talking to you.
You're here. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying you have had success. You were to the mountaintop.
Yeah.
People have never got there, which that doesn't make them bad or anything else. They didn't get the lucky break, or they weren't blessed, whatever, or they didn't have the talent. but you made it, and it's documented, and they can't never take that away from you.
No, that's right.
That song will outlive all of us. They'll be playing. We need to get them to put it. You know what I want to do? I'm going to work on this. The next, it won't be under this administration, I'll tell you that. I'm gonna get in touch with Vice President-elect Harris and President-elect Biden and say, the next one that goes to the moon, I want to hear them play Pastor Dutchie. And I want to see them dancing on the moon to it. Because remember what they played when they went there in '69? They played Frank Sinatra singing Fly Me to the Moon.
The moon. They did.
All right, brother. Hey.
All right, Brad.
It's great talking to you. If your wife smacks you in the face because you sang on this thing, tell her, hey, I appreciate it.
That's cool. Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Hey, folks, another great guest, class act, huh? All the way from England. One of these days, one of my guests from overseas is going to give me the lottery numbers, and I'm going to split it with them 50-50 down the middle. All right, and then we can do everything and anything we want to do and give away to some great causes. But hey, told you I was going to bring you big names, Musical Youth, Pastor Dutchie. I'm telling you, I've been playing that song over and over and over again. I was just playing it right before I had to shoot this closing. Dennis was everything that I thought he would be. I hope you enjoy these shows. Make sure you subscribe. Tell your friends. I greatly appreciate it. We picked up a lot of new subscribers from around the world. And again, I truly do appreciate it. All right, folks, that's another episode of the Bad Brad Berkowitz Show in the can. Forget about it. And remember, every act of kindness is a little love we leave behind. Bad Brad out.